Good morning, you guys. We're so glad y'all are here on Potluck Sunday. Wouldn't miss it. Well, go ahead and stand with us. We're going to get started. Josh is going to lead us on our first song. So you guys sing along if you're comfortable. We are here and ready to worship a God who is good and who loves us. So let's do that.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my turn till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my turn, Jesus, till I met you. Here we go. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new. Jesus, when I met you, you called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Sing, I needed rescue. I needed rescue. My sin was heavy. The chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter. I was an orphan. Now you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future. My eyes are open when you call my name. I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day.
Each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings and was covered with eyes all around, even under his wings. Day and night they never stopped saying, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to your will they were created and have their being. Your love is devoted, like a ring of solid gold, like a vow that is tested, like a covenant of old. Your love is enduring through the winter rain and beyond the horizon, with mercy for today. Faithful you have been, and faithful you will be. You pledge yourself to me, and it's why I sing. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. You father the orphan, your kindness makes us whole. You shoulder weakness, and your strength becomes our own. You're making me like you, clothing me in white, bringing beauty from ashes. You will have your bride, free of all her guilt, and rid of all her shame, and known by her truth.
could just say, I could just sit right where I am and feel your goodness. I could just stay, I could just stay right where I am and hope to feel you, hope to feel something again. And I could hold on, I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. And I could be safe, oh, I could be safe here in your arms and never leave home, never let these walls down. But you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord, where you lead me. Sing, I could hold on, and I could hold on, I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. And I could be safe, oh, I could be safe here in your arms and never leave home, never let these walls down. But you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord. Oh, you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord. Ooh, you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord, where you lead me. You lead me, Lord. Sing, I will be yours, and I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. And I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. So let your mercy
there to catch us, Lord, when we step out and follow you. We know that you will lead us, Lord. Lord, we want to be obedient. We want a deeper relationship with you. We want to be the light of the world. We want to be the salt. So, Lord, would you just encourage our hearts? Give us the boldness to step out and follow you, whatever that looks like. And Lord, we thank you that when we do step out, Lord, you are faithful to catch us, to lead us, and to be there for us, to encourage our hearts, and put people around us that do that too, Lord. Lord, I pray that if there's someone here today that feels you calling them to do something that's uncomfortable, that you would give them the boldness to do that, Lord. That you put it on their heart for a reason, for your glory. And I pray that you would give us all that encouragement and boldness throughout the week to keep that in mind, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. You may be seated. Well, that was good. Okay, so welcome to New Hope Lucas. If you're here for the first time this morning, we wanted to give you a special welcome. You came on the right Sunday, because today is the first Sunday of the month, and every first Sunday of the month we have a potluck. So, this is the best week of the month to come. We have programs. If you didn't get one when you walked in the front door, we have people coming through now. They'll hand one out if you need it. If you want more information, or you just want to reach out to someone, or you want to connect, there's a space at the bottom where you can put your information and just drop it in the offering at the end of the service. So my one announcement this morning was First Sunday. If you didn't bring anything, it's totally fine. Come out and join us anyway. It's really just about community. We want everyone to enjoy getting to know everyone, and we want your fellowship, and we want to be friends with you, and you are welcome. So take a minute and just say hi to the people beside you and make everyone feel welcome. Thanks.
Am I on? Can y'all hear me? All right, there I am. Sweet. How are y'all doing? You good? Loving life? Awesome. Grace and peace. My name is Brett, and I'm the campus pastor here, and I want to welcome all of you. Y'all like my new fancy table? I don't know if you noticed the last few weeks, but the old one had a very broken leg, and we had gorilla glued it together one Sunday. And so Steve and Diane Milton were gracious enough to donate a nice new table. So fancy, yes, give me a hand. I'm really, really grateful. So, well, I want to welcome all of you, including those joining us online. So glad to have you. And really, I say all, and I really do mean all. I mean all, male, female, black, white, Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, I don't know, like whatever the rich, poor, young, old, maybe the faith-filled and the total doubters. Welcome. I welcome you in the name of Jesus. The Jesus who, according to Galatians, the book as a whole, but really chapter 3 specifically, says that he broke down dividing walls. Man, our culture, we can get so divided. And in Jesus' heart, he's always bringing people together. That's what he's about. He's bringing people together. And so, honestly, sort of the broader culture and much of the world would say that what's going on here, is pretty much impossible because we've got a lot of difference here. And I love that you all keep showing up week after week, loving one another, relating to one another. Granted, at times, wildly offending each other. Yes, that happens. But still, here you are. And I'm just so grateful. I think that's the heart of Christ. And I'm honored. I'm honored to be here and to be called pastor among you. And yeah, y'all are beautiful. Grateful, very, very grateful. So let's see, this is part 4 of our series titled Wisdom. And this series really is about, it's sort of walking us through key themes and insights, specifically from the book of Proverbs, though generally it's also a genre of literature called wisdom literature. So that includes other books than just the book of Proverbs. Like this morning, we'll be in a different book. And really, we're just looking at like what is wisdom? What are wise ways of living? And really, that's not different from following Jesus. Just to be clear, right? It's not like we're taking a couple weeks off to talk about how to live wisely, and that's sort of different than Jesus. He was very revolutionary and could really get you in a lot of trouble living that way. So we want to live, a more wise life. No. These aren't two different ways of living. They merge. I mean, to live as Jesus would have us live is to live wisely. Right? There's no disconnect because he is reality itself. He was God in flesh, God wrapped in skin among us. So he knows how things work, right? He knows the best ways of living. So that's kind of where we're going in this series, is just looking at those themes of what does it mean to live like Jesus? What does it mean to live wisely? And so we've kind of been in a number of different places, but for this morning, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of balance. Because at the end of the day, a wise life is always a balanced life. But the trick is, balance is difficult. Like really hard. And I'm talking here balance, I mean emotionally, relationally, spiritually, professionally. It's really hard to sort of get all that right. Often we'll talk, like you'll connect with someone like, hey, how you doing? Like, oh, I'm just keeping the plate spinning, And that can be sort of language for busyness. It can also be sort of language for the metaphor of balance, because it's just sort of this, right? And to sort of focus in on one is often to neglect the others, right? So I got this one plate, woo, it's going so good. And meanwhile, the rest of my life is like, crumble, right? So we're trying to avoid that, because I don't know about you, I can get wildly unbalanced. Like, I get going in a certain direction. I get focused on a certain goal. Maybe it's like it could be a new friendship or something professionally or just whatever it is, but you just get going down a road. You been there? And you're just zeroed in. You're going and blowing. And by the way, it could be a good thing, right? A good direction, a God-blessed, God-given direction. But you're just so hardcore this way that before you know it, what happens? You're wildly out of balance. And even people might confront you on it, and you might say, well, this is good. How could you criticize that? Like I'm doing this. Like, for example, some of you, if you've been here a while, I'm a reader of books. I love books, slightly obsessed. And so I'll have times, like I'm a goal setter. I'm getting better. I'm really in recovery from ridiculous goal setting. And especially around like New Year's resolutions can just get ridiculous. Like a few years ago, we're launching New Hope Lucas. I'm in seminary full time. I'm trying to have a family. And then I set this ridiculous goal of I'm going to read 200 books in a year. The stupidest, just just a dumb idea, but I'm like, yes, I can do that. I literally I schedule it all out. I have like pages per day, minutes per page. Like I'm just like, we're going to do this. What happened? Disaster, right? Because all of a sudden I'm zeroed in. And by the way, if I had nothing else in my life, I could do that. I could pull it off. But the truth is, I don't have nothing else in my life. That's a dumb idea. And I zero in, and all of a sudden, this is what I noticed. This is maybe a way to know if you're out of balance, is when the people and key relationships in your life, and I don't just mean like, a spouse, but it could be spouse, it could be family, friendships, even colleagues, coworkers, when all of a sudden the task is more important than the people, you've gone wrong. And all of a sudden I found that like for my family, I noticed, you can testify to this, that all of a sudden they weren't the way, like in the sense of they are the way, they are my goal, my focus. They were in the way. My spouse, my kids, they're all of a sudden, they're standing in the way of my achieving, And if we just get so out of balance, and this can happen, by the way, when I say wise living is balanced living, it's not just about, goal setting, but this could be all sorts of things, right? Like, what about the balance between solitude and community, right? There's a tension there. And some of you, well, all of us have a certain natural bent. Maybe you lean more this way and others lean more that way. And the truth is, though, to really live well, you're going to need some balance. Or what about speaking and listening? That's a theme in the book of Proverbs. All about, knowing when to speak the wise word and knowing when to shut up, right? And listen. And some of us, we're really good speakers, really good talkers. Good talk. We're talking, we're telling people, and we're talking, and we don't know when to be quiet. Or the reverse, right? You're an amazing listener. You're just quiet as a church mouse, and just quiet. But when the time comes to speak the truth, sometimes to say the hard word, right? Silence. So that's not wisdom. Right? Wisdom is always this sort of creative tension between the two. I love it how the book of Ecclesiastes says it like this. It is good to grasp the one and not let go of the other. Let me read that again. It's good to grasp the one and not let go of the other. Whoever fears God will, and we'll be talking about that phrase next week actually, whoever fears God will avoid all extremes. So what might that look like, right? To grasp the one, the tendency is to grasp the one and let go, right? Kind of like that was the description I was giving earlier, right? You kind of zero in, I'm like, yes, I've got this, and to let go of the other. So I grasp solitude and I let go of community. Or I grasp community. People, I need people, and I have no space in my life for solitude. And on we could go, right? We could just keep talking about balance, the balance of this versus that. And there's a lot of different directions we could go here. But I want to zero in this morning on just one sort of area that I think we desperately need some balance. But honestly, as a culture, and I don't just mean New Hope, I mean the broader culture, we are wildly out of balance, and I don't think we know it. And it's the balance between work and rest. Work and rest. You see, our culture, generally speaking, right? There's maybe some folks here, especially the younger in years you get, sometimes you can be kind of out of balance on the other side of just like, I'm chilling, woo, no responsibility, But generally, by the time you start adulting, y'all like culturally, there's a lot of pressure towards productivity, a lot of pressure towards, time management, efficiency. I mean, that's like, if I had to name some like deep core values for America, it would be efficiency and productivity. Like this is what and who we value. Efficient people, productive people, you're good, right? Everyone else is kind of like, oh, you got no space for you. Like, come on, what are you doing? And I think this is an area where it's just so easy to get out of balance. Because if you think about it, we'll celebrate, right? Like people just, working 16-hour days and, sleeping through the night at the office and all this, like coming the next morning like, woo, cheering. You're like, way to go. You're really giving it your all, Meanwhile, the person who rests is kind of like, oh, that's suspect. Like, what, you just took the whole weekend off? Like, what are you doing? And by the way, I get that there's tension here. And I've worked in corporate world. I know it's a challenge, right? To kind of find, this balance when the pressure from the boss and the whole, but I'm just naming that I think generally speaking, we're sort of out of balance in this way. And as followers of Jesus, to live wisely is to start to bring these back into alignment. It's beginning to learn how to rest again. There's a quote from a professor, my favorite professor. I quote him way too much, but oh well. His name's Dr. Frank Green, and he says this: time management is a concept from hell because it's all about how to cram more in. And if you think of just like the big business sellers, I was just scanning this week like blog posts and things. It's amazing the amount of information on how to increase efficiency, productivity, use time wisely. Don't waste your time. It's just this intense push towards that. And I think in the midst of that, might we be grasping the one of work and letting go of the other of rest? Because the truth is, it's almost as though we've forgotten or lost how to rest. Like even on our off days, we exhaust ourselves, right? Because it's like, that's my chance to do all the other work that I haven't got to yet during the week. And we're just going. And we say like, I'm good. But honestly, that like 50 extra pounds we're carrying and the way our relationships are sort of disintegrating would seem to indicate otherwise, that maybe we're not so good. Maybe we're not quite as okay as we'd like to think. I heard a true story of a woman. She was at a coffee shop. She was a professional woman and remarkable at what she did, incredible. And she has a popular blog that she was writing this on years after the fact. But she's at this coffee shop and, she's got her setup, right? If you've been to like Starbucks or somewhere and you've worked from there, you know what it is. You've got the laptop and she had her like vanilla latte with like triple espresso shots. Love it. Oh, America, just more energy, more, right? So there she is, chugging the latte. She's got email open. She's got another document she's working on. She's got an article on her phone that she's sort of scrolling through, probably something like how to improve yourself or, And so she's just, just going and blowing. It's just crazy. And no joke, she says all of a sudden, a man walked in, and he was clearly by like his dress, he was a monk of some sort. She didn't know like what, tradition or whatever, like Catholic. She wasn't sure. But he was clearly a monk. And she says, kind of, she didn't want to be rude, but she's kind of, typing away and just out of the corner of her eye, kind of watching him. Because, it's a little bit odd, right, to see a monk, like, walk into a coffee shop. Anyone ever? I've never seen that. So she's kind of keeping an eye, keeping an eye out. And she notices that he goes to the counter, orders a coffee, and waits, just stands there, like, waits for the coffee. Doesn't go sit down. And eventually they bring it, says thank you, and he walks to his seat, and he sits down, and he has a little table, and he puts his coffee down, and he just sets it down, and then he just sits there. And apparently he was just waiting it to cool down. Now, the first thing I noticed, no phone, right? What do we do now? Every second of the day, it's like downtime, whoop, brrr, just incredible the way we do this. And so she said, he's just sitting there. And then apparently it got cool enough after like 5 minutes, and so he turns, gets the saucer in the cup, and he goes, and he sets it back down. And he just sits there. He pauses, goes back, coffee, sips, puts it back down. And he proceeds to do this for the next 25 minutes. Just at a coffee shop, just drinking coffee. Who does that? No one does that. Just go we got the Starbucks right down the road here in Lucas. Just go there. I can almost guarantee you, not one person in that coffee shop is just sitting there in the chair, just, waiting for the coffee to cool down. And she says, honestly, she said, at that time I was a very different person. And this woman said, honestly, I'm ashamed to say it, but this was the thought that ran through my head. Was not, oh, how cool, or oh, what good balance in his life. Or no. She said, this was a thought that ran through my head. What a waste of time. What a waste of time. Think of all the things he could be doing, right? He could be connecting with someone, building doing something. He could be on email, getting some things done. He could be, at least reading a book and improving himself in some way. But he's just sitting there, enjoying his coffee like a human being. Author Lin Yu Tang, he wrote this brilliant book called The Importance of Living. It's a brilliant book. I suggest you pick it up. He has whole chapters on here on things like how to enjoy flowers. That's literally the chapter. How to enjoy flowers. And he grew up and was born in China and then got educated and did things in the West in the 40s. So he basically was observing American Western culture generally, and he's like, y'all are insane. Insane. So he wrote this whole book to kind of help us learn how to live again. So he says this, besides the noble art of getting things done, there is the noble art of leaving things undone. Oh, that's a hard one, right? I mean, I'm all about learning the art of getting things done. I will read book after book, teaching me, helping me to get things done. When was the last time we read a book on how to leave things undone? How to let go? How to relinquish control, right? Oh, this is hard. This is hard. I'll be honest, I heard that story about the monk at the coffee shop a number of years ago, and I was quite inspired. I liked it. I thought, yeah, I need that. I need more of that. And so I told my spiritual director. A spiritual director is someone who I sit with once a month, and she takes time to pray, and then we just talk over what's going on in life. She gives me a sort of outside perspective. She's not a part of this community, so her name is Mariella. And everyone needs, outside input, right? So I sit with her, and we spend time together. So I brought this idea of the monk story and I said, I need more of this. I'm not too good at this, and I need to get better. And so I committed. I said, I'm going to block off a Saturday, and I'm doing nothing. Man, I'm just going to chill. Like, I did have a few chores and things I need to do. Right? I couldn't totally let it go. But when it came to things like, podcasts, website, internet, and media, and movies, and TV, and just even books. Oh, it hurt my little heart. But I realized even that could be all sort of wrapped up part of my endless self-improvement project, right? Just that's kind of me. I'm just constructing this whole self. And I realized I just need to take some time. And so I did a few chores in the morning, and in the afternoon, got a cup of tea, right? I was just envisioning that moment. Got my cup of tea, and I went, and I sat down, and it was awesome for like 30 seconds. And then the thoughts, the emotions just come flooding over me, y'all. I was so anxious. Like, all I could think about was like, what am I doing? What am I supposed to do right now? Something's being neglected. Somewhere a plate is dropping that I should be spinning. Like, people need me. I'm a very important person, and I can't just sit here like this, like a human being. I can't do it. And it's just overwhelming. And I just, almost in exasperation, I just sort of throw my head back, and I open my eyes, and I look up, and y'all have heard me talk before if you've been here a while. A tree in my backyard, right? Its root system is terrible, as I've talked about, but the tree, though, is beautiful. And I look up, and for the first time, I realized I'd never actually looked up at my tree. And for the first time in the 3.5 years since I'd moved into my house, I noticed that there were 10,000 leaves, all of them dancing in the wind. And I just realized, like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. 3.5 years, I'd never really paid attention to the leaves in my tree. And this reminded me of Jesus, because I sort of suspected that it probably wouldn't have taken Jesus 3.5 years to notice how beautiful the leaves were. Because you see, Jesus, man, he had balance. He had balance. Just to be clear, he worked hard, right? He worked hard. Like, if you've read the Gospels, if you haven't, I highly suggest you do. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, in the New Testament, right there at the beginning of the New Testament. Amazing books. But if you've read those, then you know he was going, right? He was working. Like, a normal day is, one moment he's talking to disciples and trying to, like, teach these knuckleheads what they're supposed to be doing. And then he's over here, like, healing some guy. And then he's arguing with the Pharisees. And then he's, like, saving a woman from being stoned to death. He's just stressful, he's going, right? And then all of a sudden, in Mark chapter 10, there's a story of all these children start coming and like piling on top of him. They just like to be around him, I guess. They're all over him. And I get it, man. Like, because what the disciples do, what do the disciples do? If you remember the story from Mark 10, they're like, hey, kids, move along. Jesus has had a long week. Like, come on, move it. And what does Jesus say? Let the children come. Let them come. Let them come. I'll be honest, if I were Jesus in that moment, I probably would have been like, yeah, let's get these kids out of here. I'm stressed out of my mind. You know, what is he? Let them come. What's he saying? He's saying, I got time. I got time. I'm not anxious. I'm not worried. What do I have to be afraid of? What do I have to be all stressed out over? What if my life doesn't happen perfectly? What? No, like the Father is watching over me and things will happen and I'm good. The Father loves me. I'm good. What do I have to be afraid of? I can work and I can rest and I can rest in my work, and even on a rest day I can do a few chores. I mean, it's all the same to me. And Jesus has learned the art of living well. He knew how to work. He knew how to rest. Even in the midst of his work, he knew how to play with children. See, here's the truth. At the end of the day, life really is chores. It really is. Like, I'll be honest. Like, even in the midst of, hey, find balance and, take time to sip tea and stuff. Like, the truth is, mostly, though, life is chores in terms of doing, it's walking the dog and it's doing the dishes and then cleaning out the disposal when it gets all, gutted up and you're kind of freaked out to put your hand on there or something, it's kind of, and, it's just things and you're just doing the things and or you go to work and you send the emails and you work at things through in conflict. Like, it's just, life is chores. And I do hope in the midst of that you do find time to sip tea just to sip tea and to walk just to walk. And to read the scriptures and to pray. I mean, Jesus did that too. Mark 1:35 says that early in the morning, Jesus went to a solitary place, alone, right? And he prayed. So I hope you do that. But the truth is that life really is chores, but that the noble art of getting things done and of leaving things undone, the noble art of living well, and why we need Jesus as our example is because Jesus he figured out a way to rest, to be at rest, even in the midst of his work. That when we can get there, that's a huge win. Learning how to be at rest even in the midst of our work. Because, see, at the end of the day, balance, work and rest, is not necessarily going to mean splitting things 50-50. Right? Like, well, for every minute I spend with people, I will spend 1 minute in solitude. Right? It's not. Or every minute I spend, working and doing things, getting things done, well, then I will do nothing and I will sit and look at leaves. Or, that's probably not going to work out to a 50-50 kind of ratio. But what's the truth? What's the deeper rhythm that we need to find? We've got to find how to be at rest really at all times. Because that's what I think Jesus figured out. That's why in the midst of his crazy week, these kids start coming and playing with him, and he just stops, just takes time for him. See, at the end of the day, balance is inward. Balance is reasonableness. Balance is going slowly, right? It's going, but learning to go slowly. It's refusing to cram more in. It's taking time to play with children. It's going to a coffee shop just to drink some coffee. It's working and smiling and enjoying your work. It's practicing the presence of God in every moment, whether in work or in rest. And so today, as we come to the table of the Lord, I want to encourage us to recenter ourselves, to recenter on the Jesus who knew how to work and knew how to rest, the Jesus who had time to get things done and knew when it was time to call it quits, the Jesus who could pray alone in the morning and then go out and touch and heal the masses, the Jesus who could argue with the Pharisees and then play with children. We need to recenter. And so as you come to the table, this is sort of the prayer I want to invite you to pray. It's, Lord, teach me to rest. Lord, teach me to rest. So before we do get into communion, I want to mention just a few resources for those of you who are interested. So number one would be the Gospel of Mark. That's one of the Gospels I was talking about earlier. Excellent resource on sort of Jesus' rhythm of work and rest. And you can kind of see some of these themes that I was drawing out today. The second is The Art of Living Well by Lin Yu Tang. It's that book I referenced earlier. Really, really good. And then finally, Deep Work by Cal Newport. All really, really good resources. So we are about to take communion. And I know not everyone sort of understands when I say, let's take communion, or come to the table of the Lord, what exactly that is. And so where this tradition comes from is that on the night Jesus was betrayed, he had one final meal with his disciples. And while they were there, at one point he stood up and he had a loaf of bread and he broke it and he said, take this and eat it. This is my body. And then he took up and held up a cup of wine. And he said, and this is my blood. Whenever you eat this bread, whenever you drink this cup, remember me. Remember me. And so for thousands of years now, Christians have come to the table to eat of the bread and drink of the cup and to remember again, to recenter on the Jesus who has made every day a Sabbath, a rest day, every moment a Sabbath moment. So some of you might be a little bit worried about, now how do I do this? Don't worry, instructions will be on the screen. It's going to be very easy. You're just going to step forward. We've got 2 lines. You'll come forward. You'll tear off a piece of bread. You'll dip it in the cup. You can then take it immediately, or we've got a few other ways that you can do that. We do use non-alcoholic wine, aka grape juice, because we've got a few folks in recovery from substance abuse. So it's just a way of honoring them. Finally, we practice what's called an open table, meaning if you are here today and you would like to meet with Jesus, then you come forward. You say, well, I don't know if I really know enough. Well, if you want to meet with Jesus, then you come. You say, sometimes I have doubts. Well, if you want to meet with Jesus, then you come forward. So I'm going to invite you to the table. This is a Celtic Christian invitation. It goes, this is the table, not of the church, but of the Lord. And it is made ready for those who love him and for those who want to love him more. So come. You who have much faith and you who have little. You who have been here often and you who have not been here long. You who have tried to follow and you who have failed. Come, because it is the Lord who invites you. And it is his will that those who want to meet him should meet him here. Come to the table.
we're going to wrap up with this last song, and while we do, our offering is going to be taken up with our ushers. And as they come forward, don't feel any pressure to give. If you're visiting here, if you're a first timer, just sit back and enjoy this service. It's our gift to you, and we're just so grateful that you're here. And we would love it if you would fill out that bottom form on the program and drop it into the offering so that we can get to know you better, and just let that be your offering today. And then for those of you who are a part of our New Hope family, and if this is home for you, thank you for giving faithfully each week so that God can do his work amongst us. We love you guys, and you are welcome to join in with us as we close out with this song.
Your love is devoted, like a ring of solid gold, like a vow that is tested, like a covenant of old. Your love is enduring through the winter rain and beyond the horizon, with mercy for today. Faithful you have been, and faithful you will be. You pledge yourself to me, and it's why I sing your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your
thank you all for being here. And, we have folks up here who are available to pray. Everyone needs prayer. All of us need prayer. So there's no stigma with coming up here. Oh, you're a needy person. No, we're all in need. We're all in need. So, I just encourage you, if you're in a place of just wanting someone to pray with you, it could be around work and rest. It could be something totally different. Feel free to just come forward, and folks will be tearing down chairs and such. But don't let that stop you from coming and receiving what you need. So we do have our community meal right after the service. So again, if you didn't bring anything, don't worry. No one knows who brought what, or we have no idea. So you just go out there and just enjoy. You don't even have to stay long. Just grab some food. And so right after I pray and I send us out, you guys were free to just go, and you can just start. Just get in line and get going. And then, if you do have kids, though, I would ask that you go and, check them out. Don't let our kids workers languish in there. So I'm going to say this benediction, and then I'll pray, and we can go out. So, Lord, God, we just thank you. We thank you for this week. We thank you for just this moment, God, to rest, a day to rest, a day to be a human being rather than just a human doing. And so we receive. Lord, we receive from you everything you have for us: energy, life, creativity, love, passion. Lord, renew us as a community, and as we eat together and connect, may you break down every dividing wall. May you knit our hearts together. May you draw us close to one another. May we trust again. May we open up again and meet you in the midst of it. It's in the powerful and life-changing name of Jesus that I pray. Amen. Amen. So you are God's children. You're gifted with dreams, gifted with vision, and upon you rests the grace of God like flames of fire. Go and love and serve the Lord in the strength of the Spirit.